You see, it's green.
Mm-hmm. Hi. When I was a boy, a long time ago, in the kitchen there were two tools. One was a big tin dish which we washed our plates and knives and forks in, and the other was a wood stove which we had to light every morning and keep putting wood on. Now there's about 8 or 10 tools in the kitchen. There's electricity, there's gas, there's electric or gas stoves and ovens. There's a refrigerator. There's a washing machine. There's mixers and grinders and all sorts of things. And everywhere now we have tools. If there isn't a very good tool to do something, someone will make it. They keep on making the tools better and better. But unfortunately, in the field that I got interested in, because it was the field in which the people suffered most and got the worst treatment, which was mental health and addiction, the tools were very weak. There are two tools. The first tool is talk therapy. Talk therapy is weak for two reasons. First, to be a good therapist, you have to have a 4-year university degree or a 6-year PhD. or a 12-year medical degree than psychiatric training. So those people, those highly trained people, are few and far between, and there'll never be enough of them, and that's a weakness. The supply of practitioners and the cost of practitioners. The other weakness of talk therapy is it's so slow. You need a 1-hour consultation to diagnose a person's mental health and addiction problems, and to explain it to them, and to talk about the causes and the treatment. So it's slow. And then usually people have a regular consultation on a weekly or a fortnightly or a monthly basis. The other tool in that field is medicine, and medicine's got a terrible problem. The terrible problem for medicine is that the people who take medicine want it to work quickly, get better quickly, and not need to continue to take it. But the business people who make medicines want them to take medicine, as much medicine as possible, for as long as possible, and if possible, for the rest of their life. Big problem. So they make many medicines addictive. The commonest mental health disorders are anxiety, worry type disorders, which includes sleep disorders, general anxiety, social anxiety, panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorder, phobias, and inability to go to sleep or to stay asleep. And all the medicines for that are addictive. Originally it used to be barbiturates, and there were many different barbiturates, and they were all addictive. And then in the 1960s they started to give us some good new medicine like Valium, Seropax, Mogadon, those sort of things, all addictive. I treated many people who are taking 30 to 50 Valium tablets a day, about 10 who were taking 100 Valium tablets a day, and one who was taking 200 Valium tablets a day. He spent his whole day going from doctor to doctor, telling lies, getting prescriptions for Valium. One pharmacist told me that people would come in with a prescription for 50 Valium tablets. They'd make the prescription up for it, give them, before they walked out the door, they'd taken the whole lot, the whole 50 Valium tablets. The way that addictive medicines work is that they give you relief for some discomfort, but they cause some resistance in your chemistry. So the next time you need a bit bigger dose to fix the problem and to overcome the resistance. And then the next time you need an even bigger dose to fix the bigger resistance. And eventually you need a lot of the addictive substance, and it doesn't really solve the problem, but you hang out terribly if you don't get it, because your chemistry has been so changed to cope with all this foreign chemical that without that foreign chemical you hang out terribly. So the commonest mental health disorder, various forms of worry and anxiety, nearly all or virtually all the medicines for are addictive. And the other is ADD, ADHD. In ADD, ADHD, the front part of your brain's only half awake, so you can't concentrate or focus very well, and you have to take stimulant medicine to wake it up. And the three main stimulant medicines prescribed for ADD are addictive: dexamphetamine, Ritalin, and Adderall, all addictive. Ah, we'll fix that problem. They say family doctors won't be allowed to prescribe it. You have to go to a paediatrician. If you're a child, you have to go to a psychiatrist, and they're very smart, well-educated people, and they'll manage it well. Except that they've all got long waiting lists and charge high fees, and they're somewhere away in some distant part of the city, which involves travelling to unfamiliar places for a lot of people. The well-to-do families, well-educated parents know where these specialists are, can afford to pay for them, but a lot of the people with attention deficit disorder, their parents have it, so their parents are not very well paid, and they can't and one of the three main characteristics of ADD, ADHD is impulsivity. They're very impulsive. So it rather than waiting to see the psychiatrist or the paediatrician, they go down the street and they're sitting ducks for drug dealers who sell them cocaine or crystal meth or ecstasy or some stimulant. Nicotine is also a stimulant that helps people to focus, so a lot of people with ADD are very heavy smokers. So there's the problem. One of the two great developing problems in my lifetime in medicine, which is nearly 60 years now, are mental health and addiction issues and obesity, diabetes, and blocked artery diseases. And the tools for mental health and addiction are weak. So I didn't realise this when I started. I'd been a hospital doctor, then a suburban family doctor, helped to bring 800 babies into the world, did a lot of appendixes and tonsillectomies and treated all sorts of medical conditions. And then in the late 1990s, we were having a great epidemic of heroin in Perth. And I saw young people who told me they were the last ones standing in their group of friends. All the others had OD'd on heroin. So I thought I'd better find out about this. And I started to work in a heroin clinic, not a heroin clinic, a detox clinic, but 99% of the patients were heroin addicts 10 hours a week. And the first thing I wanted to know is what causes addiction. Because in health, you always want to know what the cause is. If you don't know what the cause is, it's hard to fix the problem. And even if you fix the problem, they're likely to relapse if the cause is still there. But at this clinic, they didn't know what causes addiction, and they weren't interested. So I went to every addiction clinic in Perth and Sydney and couldn't find a single addiction worker who knew what caused addiction or thought that was important to know. Then one day in that clinic I saw 15 heroin addicts and 5 of them had ADD, untreated, mostly undiagnosed. And how did I know that the ADD led to the addiction? It wasn't the addiction that caused the ADD. Well, they had had ADD since they were little kids in primary school, but they didn't start to take heroin until their late teens or 20s or 30s. And they took heroin to get relief from the frustrations and distresses of ADD. So then I began to ask all the addicts that I saw about their childhood, their families, their parents, their siblings, their school performance, and found that 19 out of 20 of them had had serious mental health distresses for which they didn't get effective treatment, and they ended up getting street treatment, and the street treatment is always addictive. The 1 out of 20 was usually a wife who was keeping her addicted husband company, taking a bit of heroin or drinking a lot of alcohol to keep him company. Yeah, so I realized what addicts needed was dual diagnosis. Dual diagnosis is diagnosing and treating mental health issues at the same time as treating the addictions. And I couldn't find anyone anywhere in the world at the time doing dual diagnosis, but anyway, that's what I did. And now I'm very happy to say that you can just go online and find lots of clinics doing dual diagnosis, and it works wonderfully. If someone's got severe anxiety and alcohol or heroin or addictive painkillers calm it down, then they become addicts. I still remember clearly one boy, mid-20s, big tall fellow, used to drink 6 litres of wine every day to control his anxiety, and used to fall asleep outside and wake up in the morning and covered with mosquito bites. Yeah, so dual diagnosis. What happened in Western Australia was in the 1970s they decided to separate mental health care from addiction care. So there were mental health clinics, but they refused to see addicts and alcoholics. If you had an addiction, you couldn't get seen in a mental health clinic. You had to go to the addiction clinic. At the addiction clinic, what's mental health? That's none of our business. We're treating addicts, we're treating addiction. When I was observing to be taught how to treat addiction in the clinic, there were people there with very obvious, serious mental health things, anxiety and so on, but they got no treatment for that, just treated for their addiction. So I was quickly snowed under because the word spread that there was a place you could go to where they'd diagnose and treat your mental health at the same time as treating your addiction. So very quickly I was swamped with work, and I started to develop tools to work better. The first tool was a 20-question checklist, and my nurse would see the patients first and do the checklist, and then in 3 or 4 minutes I could see the patient and read the checklist results and know almost as much as I would if I spent 23 or 24 minutes with the patient, which I didn't have. And the second tool was videos. To reasonably expect someone to overcome an addiction, they have to understand their mental illnesses, they have to understand the addictions, they have to understand the causes, what aggravates it, what causes relapses. You have to do a lot of explaining, and you do it over and over and over to every patient that comes in. But with videos, they could watch the video as many times as they wanted. So I fairly soon, my first video got 10,000 viewings in 9 months and produced good results. So I made 8 more. I had 9 videos. But then the later videos didn't get watched very much, and I thought, well, they can't be very good. I better do them again and do them better. So I spent a lot of time perfecting, or I thought perfecting, 31 videos on all aspects of mental health and addiction, and they hardly got any viewings. And it took me a while to work out that that was because they were between 7 and 12 minutes. And people didn't watch 7 to 12 minute videos very often. I had to make them shorter. But how can you make them shorter? You've got to explain everything. Got to make them shorter. So we went to 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and 1 minute. And of course, in a 1 minute video, you can only explain one thing. So we needed a lot of them. So now we've got 125 1 minute videos that cover everything, which I'm in the process of redoing, because I've learned so much as I go along that I can do them better now. So I think we've redone about 40 of the videos, and we'll do some more. And we had to have a website, of course. So we had the Mental Health Videos A-to-Z.com website, the Mental Health Videos A-to-Z.com. So, and then what happened was that I realized that an app on your phone was much better than a paper checklist and a nurse. God bless the nurses, we love them, but it was better if people could do it themselves, anytime, anywhere, in the middle of the night or whenever. So it was a lot of work and a lot of money, but we developed the Mental Fix It app. The Mental Fix It app. You can go on your phone to the App Store or Google Play icon and tap it, and in 10 seconds download the free Mental Fix It app. And the Mental Fix It app asks questions about all aspects of your mental health and addictions, and a few on social and physical matters. But we had to keep it pretty tight because we knew if it was too long people wouldn't do it. But for each question you've got a choice of 3 answers. No, it's not a problem. Yes, it's a moderate problem. Yes, it's a severe problem. And you just tap whichever one of those 3 things is right for you, and you can go through all the questions that cover everything that we need to know in about 10 minutes the first time. Anything that you answer no twice, because we recommend you do it every day, repeat it every day. Anything you say no twice, you don't get asked again. So fairly soon you can do it in 7 minutes and then 5 minutes. And as you tap your choice of answers to the last question, an instant report comes up on the screen, and the instant report tells you 4 things. It tells you which 6 of our 100 videos are most likely to help your particular problems, because different people have different problems. And if there's 100 videos, which ones do you watch? Well, the Mental Fix It app tells you which ones. You can look at the list on the website and work out for yourself which ones you want to watch, but the app also does it. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the app tells you which medicines are most likely to work for you. The third thing is that the app gives you a complete list of all the things that you've tapped as a problem, from the highest scoring to the lowest scoring, because each item that you tap has got a score. Anxiety, high, score 12. Post-traumatic stress disorder, high, score 14. Schizophrenia, 15. Moderate depression, 5. So the fourth thing that the incident report tells you is your total score for all of the things that you've tapped that you've got a problem. And every time you repeat the app, you get a new total score, because hopefully some of your things are getting better. Some of the severe things are more moderate, some of the moderate things are milder. So your graph of total scores should be going down. And if it's not, that means your treatment's not working. And it's very valuable to know. I mean, you sort of know whether you're getting better or not, but this is more exact, and it tells you you can see which things are getting better and which things aren't getting better. So that was the app. So we had 3 tools. We had 1-minute videos, TikTok type videos, which were popular. Most of them got a lot of several hundred viewings, but I think one's had 4,500 viewings and one's had 8,500 viewings. Some not very many. So videos, the app, and the website. And the fourth tool is what we're doing now, which is live streaming. Hadn't heard of live streaming 4 or 5 months ago, but my wonderful tech guy told me about it, and I could see that that would be very helpful for people. So I now do an hour and a quarter of live streaming on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday at 7 o'clock in the evening, which is Perth time, and 9 p.m. Sydney and Melbourne time, and 7 a.m. New York time, and 4 a.m. Los Angeles. Surprisingly enough, we get about 30% of our viewers from the US. I'm going to have to get organised and do at least one session at a time that is a more reasonable time for the people in the US. So that's 4 tools. The 5th tool is powder medicine. Why powder medicine? Well, with mental health issues and addiction issues, it's often very important for the medicine to work very fast. And when you swallow a tablet or a capsule, it takes half an hour to go between half an hour and an hour to go down your gut, get absorbed into the bloodstream and start to work. Half an hour to an hour, and it takes 1 to 2 hours for a strong effect. And if you want medicine to help you with your anxiety or your PTSD or your alcohol or whatever, if it works that slowly, you got to take it all the time, whether you need it or not. But it's a great advantage if you can take the medicine just as you need it and it works very fast. If you drop powder medicine on your tongue and suck it, don't swallow it, it starts to work in 5 minutes. And that's fast enough to help you not light that cigarette, put off that drink for half an hour, avoid the panic attacks, and so on. So powder medicines have a number of advantages. The main one is the speed. Your tongue is pink or red because the blood vessels are so close to the surface. You can almost see the blood. That's the redness. And when you drop fine powder medicine on your tongue and suck it, don't swallow it, it gets into those blood vessels very quickly, and it starts to work in 5 minutes, and it has a strong effect within 10 to 15 minutes. And we make it very tasty because you've heard of Pavlov's dogs and they're salivating. Well, if you have this powder medicine and it's got a lovely taste, and in 5 minutes later you start to feel better, after a while your body connects those two things, and then you get what's called taste conditioning. And as soon as you drop the powder in your tongue and it reaches your taste buds at the back of your tongue, you start to get a placebo effect. So it's working in seconds, not 5 minutes. Well, it's working in 5 minutes, but it starts in seconds. And that gives you strength and hope, and enables you to minimize panic attacks, social phobia, insomnia, smoking, alcohol, heroin, whatever. And when so the next thing was to take the powder very quickly. I made pocket powder medicine dispensers. So these dispensers you have in your pocket, they've got the powder medicine in them. A situation starts to arise, you whiz it out, drop the powder on your tongue, and it's working very quickly. And mental illnesses and addictions are in a way a habit. What's a habit? A habit is something that's happened so many times that the underlying electrical and chemical messages that make it happen become stronger and stronger and more easily triggered until more and more easily triggered. Sorry, I had a little interruption there. Someone wanted to co-host. I don't know how to do that. I'm not good at technology. Right, so you take the powder, it works quickly, and if right, I've got it again now. So addictions and mental health illnesses are a form of habit. What is a habit? A habit is something that's happened so many times that the electrical flows and the chemical flows involved get stronger and stronger and more easily triggered, and in the end they just fire off for minimal reasons. And if you can delay them, you can weaken them. If you can delay having a cigarette or drinking alcohol or taking heroin, that slightly weakens the addiction. So with the right medicine on your tongue, starting work in 5 minutes, as soon as you feel the craving starting, you whiz it out of your pocket, drop it on your tongue, and maybe you can put off the addictive drug for half an hour, and that weakens it a little bit. So soon you can put it off for 35 minutes, and then for 40 minutes. And the same with the mental health problems. If you can delay an anxiety attack or post-traumatic stress disorder attack, that weakens it slightly. The more often it happens, the stronger it gets. The more you can delay it, the weaker it gets. So it gets weaker, so you can delay it a bit longer, and it gets even weaker, and then you can delay it a bit longer. So, and powder medicines have other advantages. You can mix 2 or 3 together and have a powerful effect on a person's well-being and a powerful boost to their morale if suddenly their anxiety is better, they're sleeping better, and they're not craving so badly for their drug. A big help. And of course everything is different. Heroin is different to cocaine and so on. So we got 6 different combinations of between 2 and 4 powder medicines for different situations. So there are our tools. 1-minute videos, the mental health videos AtoZ.com website, except we decided that name's too long, so we've now just started a new website called smilefixit.com, smilefixit.com, which you can go to now, and we're gradually getting that organised. There's quite a lot of material on there already, but it wasn't very well laid out, so we're just gradually organising that, and we'll try to keep it short, which I find difficult, but that's what people want, and no point in having stuff they're not going to watch or not going to read. And live streaming and powder medicines and pocket powder dispensers and something else. Where is it? Meditation is very important for lots of people with mental health and addiction problems. Very helpful for people in general. What is meditation? Meditation is a little break from your stresses and pressures, a little holiday for 3, 10, 30 or 40 minutes or whatever. You focus on something and forget all your stresses and worries. But unfortunately, the people who benefit the most often have difficulty doing that. And the experts who teach it have usually been doing it for 10, 20 or 30 years, and they think it's easy. Oh, you just focus on your breathing and stop thinking about everything. Except your breathing is not a very big attraction or a big mind grabber. And yeah, so that's a problem. So I tried to learn to meditate 30 years ago and spent money on a course and eventually fizzled. With that one, that they gave you a word and you had this word and you just kept on saying that word over and over and over to yourself, and that's what you focused on. But really focusing on your breathing is the best thing in the end when you get there. But some people have to have intermediate stages. And about 5 years ago I had another go, and what I did was I just got a cheap stethoscope and cut it short. And now then what I did was, you put that in, this is the hearing part, you put that down behind you, under your clothes, over your heart in your upper left chest, and listen to your heart. And your heart beats quite loudly and strongly. It's very interesting, and it's a much easier thing to focus on. You do that for a couple of months, and then start to swing the hearing part to the right side of your chest, where you listen to your breathing instead of your heart. And then once you've started to develop the habit reasonably well, you can focus on the breathing. And I made a mistake. I misunderstood what they meant when they said focus on your breathing. I thought they meant you observe your breathing. You observe your chest going in and out, and the air going in and out. No, you know that you focus on breathing as an activity. Breathe in, out, in, out, in, out, and having an activity is more attention grabbing than just being an observer. But anyway, if you want one of these, we can send you one for $25 plus postage. So that's 7 tools. Now I've got 2 more tools in mind, which I haven't had time to formalize, but one tool, the 8th tool, is smiling. You know, I was a doctor for 53 years, did all sorts of things, had all sorts of experiences, and didn't know how important smiling is. We have got about 25 chemicals in our brain that are our happy, healthy chemicals. There's over 20 endorphins. Endorphins is short for endogenous morphines, because we produce morphine type chemicals. If we didn't, we'd have a lot of pain and a lot of distress. But those endorphins help to relieve pain, and they help to relieve distress, and they also boost our immune system, and our immune system fights or prevents and fights infections, allergies, inflammation, autoimmune diseases and cancers. And being healthy makes us happy. But science has now proved that when we smile or laugh, that actually produces more happy, healthy chemistry. The fastest way to boost your immune system is to have a good laugh. So having a habit of smiling, every time you do something, wow, that was good, or wow, you smile. That increases your happy, healthy brain chemistry. Apart from the 25 endorphins, there's dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and noradrenaline. Probably some others I don't know about, but about 25, and they're so important. And it's so important to know that health goes with happiness, and happiness goes with health. I grew up, I was born just before the Second World War and grew up during the wartime period, still remember hearing on a very primitive, scratchy radio. In those days, the radios were great big things there, and they were very weak. I remember hearing the Japanese resignation or declaration of peace. But there was petrol rationing. Cars were hard to get, so we had old cars, old roads, petrol rationing. Everything was rationed. Food was rationed. Clothes were rationed. Petrol was rationed, I think, till 1948. And in those days, it was virtuous to be very serious. Very serious. In those hard times. But that's not the best way to have a good life. The best way to have a good life is to be happy and healthy and healthy and happy. To keep your health chemistry high. So I want to formalize that into a tool. There's another tool. I don't know whether I should even mention it because it's sort of a figment of my imagination, but I'm going to call it phone treasure. Phone treasure. On your phone you have this treasure. It's wonderful things. It's babies doing crazy things, animals, beautiful pictures, all sorts of things, lovely music and so on. And so anytime you whiz your phone out and have 2 minutes of stuff that really makes you feel good. Phone treasure. So what should we talk about now? I love to smile at people. It makes me happy and see people happy. Yeah, that's another aspect of smiling. When you smile, they smile. The whole thing gets better. Yeah, anyway, I'm on my hobby horse a bit here with smiling. Powder medicines. So what are the great mental health disorders? According to the Psych Bible, the DSM-5, there's 500 of them. But in my experience, if you understand 6 or 8, you've pretty well got it beaten. So there's worry, anxiety disorders, major depression, bipolar disorder, high-low disorder, attention deficit disorder, ADD, ADHD, post-traumatic stress disorder, very low self-esteem, schizophrenia, autism, yeah. And what are the addictions? The addictions are uppers and downers. So the main downers are alcohol, tranquilizers and sleeping medicines, marijuana, heroin, addictive painkillers. The main uppers are nicotine, cocaine, crystal meth or ice or whatever you like to call it, and ecstasy, MDMA. So our 6 powder medicine mixtures help to cover that. There's one we call Calm Fast that covers anxiety, insomnia, PTSD, pain, craving for heroin, addictive painkillers and alcohol, greatly boosts the production of feel-good endorphins chemistry, which boosts the disease-fighting immune system. Great combination. What's in it? It's got each dose of the lowest strength. We've got Calm Fast 3, Calm Fast 6, Calm Fast 12. But Calm Fast 3, each dose has got 3 milligrams of baclofen in it and 2 milligrams of mirtazapine, which is a wonderful calming antidepressant, and 3/8 of a milligram of microdose naltrexone. And naltrexone is an alcohol opioid blocker which also boosts the immune system. The official tablets are 50 milligrams, which is hopelessly too much. And for a lot of people, low dose naltrexone is a big help, and that's usually 3 or 4.5 milligrams. But I found that when I was dealing with a lot of people with heroin and addictive painkiller, it was necessary to make it microdose. I call it RMN, repeated microdose. Repeated microdoses of 3/4 of a milligram. There's Upfast. Upfast is a combination of modafinil and fluoxetine. Fluoxetine is a stimulating antidepressant. Modafinil is sorry, another interruption. Modafinil is a stimulant, but unlike the 3 ADD stimulant medicines, it's not addictive. Any doctor can prescribe it. It's about a half or perhaps less as stimulating as the ADD medicines, but that's enough to give people a lot of help, and it has a great advantage. It works for 8 to 12 hours, whereas those addictive medicines for ADD usually only work for 3 or 4 hours. You can get sustained release forms, but they often don't work. So you have to take it 3 or 4 times a day, which is hard to do. But with modafinil, you take it in the morning, and it'll take it at 8 o'clock in the morning. It'll last somewhere between 4 and 8 o'clock in the evening. But this combination is mainly for depressed people who are low in energy. So some antidepressants are stimulating, some are calming, and some are neutral. So mirtazapine is a wonderful one to take in the evening because it helps you sleep as well as helping you with your depression. Fluoxetine and desvenlafaxine are stimulating, so you take them in the morning and they give you some energy. But the problem for a lot of people with depression is that the antidepressants take 2 or 3 weeks to start to work, and they feel discouraged, and some of them even stop. This stuff doesn't do any good, though. Don't take it. But the modafinil starts to work in half an hour to an hour. So if they've got a combination of modafinil and fluoxetine, and they take that when they wake up in the morning, within half an hour they are noticeably better, and that helps them a lot. And then after a couple of weeks, the fluoxetine is kicked in and doing proper antidepressant work. So that's Upfast. And we've got one uh, we call tobacco fix. Tobacco fix. It's got tobacco or nicotine does three things for us. It gives us some energy, it gives us a little mood boost, and it helps us to focus and concentrate. So I wanted something that did those three things that wasn't addictive. So Tobacco Fix has got a little bit of modafinil in it as a stimulant and to give energy and focus. It's got a tiny bit of nicotine in it because that makes it easier for people to cut the smoking down, but it's only a small amount. And it's got a tiny microdose of naltrexone in it to boost the endorphins, and sometimes we put a bit of baclofen in it as a calmer. And then there's Anger Fix. What's Anger Fix? It's funny, there are true mental health problems that are fairly common that didn't seem to have a name. So, being the boy from the bush, I made up a name for them. There are a lot of people who, when something terrible happens to them, childhood sexual abuse, terrible car accident, terrible post-traumatic stress, whatever, and they can't cope with it, they focus on the CIA or Guantanamo Bay or conspiracy theories or the terrible things they do to children in Timbuktu. But that's not a good strategy. Anyway, I'll talk about that another time. The other thing that didn't have a name is irritability, anger, rage and violence. We're having a terrible epidemic of domestic violence in Australia, with on average one woman every 4 days being killed by her partner or ex-partner. And for everyone that's killed, there's hundreds that are hurt and made homeless, and violence is a terrible problem. Mostly men, but some women too. It didn't have a name. Oh, if it did, I missed it. So I called that IAD, irritability anger disorder. So what's Anger Fix powder medicine? Anger Fix powder medicine is baclofen, which is a calming tranquilizer and muscle relaxant. Mirtazapine, which is a calming antidepressant. Lamotrigine, which is an anti-epilepsy medicine, because anti-epilepsy medicines help anger. And another bit of microdose naltrexone. And if people have got that problem, IAD, irritability, anger, violence, and they keep Anger Fix powder in a dispenser in their pocket, as soon as they start to feel irritability or angry, or when they know they're going to a situation or meeting a person where they've had that problem, they take some and settle the condition down. Why do people get angry? Well, there's a few reasons. One is one day they had a bit of a tantrum and suddenly everybody did what they wanted them to do. So then they consciously or unconsciously, every time they want people to do things for them, they get a bit angry. It's manipulation. But there are people who've got really irritable brains who get angry and have about as much control of it as they do of epilepsy. It just happens to them. And my father, who was a very good man, had a bit of an irritable brain. He could get angry quite quickly, but he always calmed down very quickly. But he didn't have the medicine for it, and he occasionally threw things. So what happens is people in the past have had things that made them angry, and some people, sadly, that happened a lot, and maybe happened when they were babies and small children. And anything that happens a lot tends to become a habit, because the electricity flows and the chemistry flows that underlie them get stronger and stronger and more easily triggered. So some people definitely have this problem, and a lot of them don't want to be angry. They don't want to ruin their marriage. They don't want to risk hurting their kids. You know, sometimes babies get shaken and get brain damage and even die. They don't want to do that, but it hits them a bit like an epileptic attack. So what they need is anger fix in a pocket dispenser that they can drop on their tongue at the first sign of trouble. Yeah, so so yeah, I seriously believe that 10% of the pharmaceutical industry globally should be powder in pocket dispensers, and the world would be a much better, safer, happier place if that was the case. We're not quite geared up yet to be able to supply this powder. And I don't know quite how to do it, because medicines are so regulated, and half the time the regulations make the problem worse because it's so hard to get the right medicine that people get the street medicine and become addicts instead. But we will do that. I've just sent this morning $2,000 to Ningbo in China, where I'm having 5,000 new powder medicine dispensers made. These dispensers, which I had 1,000 made 5 years ago, every dose of medicine is 0.2 of a mil. So the first version didn't work. I did them in 2011. It didn't work because I made them too thin, so they could go in and then be posted in an envelope, and the powder didn't flow. So then I had little spoons made, tiny little double-ended spoons with 0.05 mils one end and 0.15 mil the other. But spoons in your pocket, and powder in a, not very convenient. It has to be a dispenser. So in, I think, about 2018 or 19, I had 1,000 of these made, and they work really well. But every dose of medicine is 0.2 of a mil, so you have to make up the medicine so that 0.2 of a mil gives you the dose that you need. That little thing there is where the medicine fits, and that's 0.2 of a mil. So now we've got some new ones coming where we can vary the size of the volume of the dose, because having to get 3 or 4 different strengths of powder to get the right dose in 0.2 of a mil is too expensive, and it's difficult for people to find exactly what they need. But the new ones will be able to give doses from 0.1 of a mil to 1.25 mils, and we'll initially be using them with non-medicine tasty powders, because I'm interested in the other major health problem that's developed in my lifetime, which is obesity, diabetes, and blocked arteries. In history, humans died prematurely from 4 main reasons: infections, physical injuries, childbirth disasters, and starvation. When there was a drought, there'd be not enough food and there'd be starvation. And 300 or 400 years ago, sugar was a rare luxury that only the rich could afford. And then they started to mass produce sugar and made it 300 or 400 years ago. They started to mass produce sugar and had plantations and crushed cocaine and had sugar beet, and sugar became plentiful and low cost, and that saved millions of people from starvation and was a great help for a lot of poor people, because sugar has very high calories in it. It doesn't have any fiber, which we need for our gut bugs, and it doesn't have much in the way of nutrients like vitamins and minerals, but it's high in calories. So if you're poor, that's one way to get a lot of calories. Or in some situations, like in wartime and so on. But the problem is that sugar is now a disaster, because what's happened is that my grandfathers, one was a blacksmith and the other was a farmer, they both would have needed between 4,000 and 5,000 calories a day to do all the physical work that they did. My blacksmith grandfather started work at 6:30 every morning, summer, winter, 6 days a week, and did a lot of physical work. Needed 4,000 or 5,000 calories. I need about 1,000 calories. So many of us now work at a desk. We've got so many good tools, we don't physically exert ourselves, and we need less and less calories. But sugar became a gold mine for the food industries. For hundreds of thousands of years, human chemistry developed in people where they well, not every day, but they got all their food by walking. There were no farms, no gardens, no food factories. There were no roads, no wheels, no electricity, no tools, and they did a lot of walking. They lived in nature in camps of 30 to 150 people, because if there was more than 150 people, they couldn't walk and collect enough food. So we burn less and less calories. But we have sugar in everything. The food industries love it because it's cheap, it's plentiful, it's addictive. I've read some people believe it's as addictive as cocaine. I'm not sure about that, but that's what at least some people believe. It's easy to work with, it's easy to store, it's easy to transport. It's wonderful stuff. It's a gold mine for the food industries. So they put sugar in everything. Foods, drinks, confectionery. So when we don't burn the calories, we turn them into fat. And we get obese, and we have high blood sugar, and we become diabetic. And it also causes hardening and narrowing of the arteries, which causes heart attacks and strokes and cold feet, black toes, weak erections, poor sight, even some dementia, and perhaps even some cancer. Obesity is associated with some cancer. Not a good story. So my solution is to put wonderful powder in your pocket. Strawberry powder, blueberry powder, mango powder, banana powder, tomato powder, whatever powder you like. And every time you're tempted to have chocolate or biscuits or cake or whatever, you whiz it out and you have a lovely taste. So I'm getting 5,000 dispensers made in Ningbo at the moment. I think it'll be 2 or 3 months before they're ready, and then we'll be pushing low calorie, tasty, beneficial fruit and vegetable powders in pocket dispensers. And it's a global problem. It's a terrible problem in America, but it's getting more and more common in Australia. And diabetes is a big problem in India, and my Chinese friends tell me that it's starting to become a problem. Obesity and diabetes starting to be more of a problem in China as well. And they're all going to go the way of tools and desks and less physical activity. And so it's as countries develop, they're going to have this problem. And I'm hoping that we can help to fix that. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. So what's today? Today is Saturday. So I'll be back at 7 o'clock tomorrow. And in the meantime, have a good night.